Hello, everybody. This is Ryan over at High Carb Generator. Today I have Fruit Kid with me. Um, this is an impromptu kind of just chat, so we'll see where this goes. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, still watch it anyway.
Let's
But
see.
I just wanted
Awesome.
to talk a little bit about diet, where you're at, where I'm at, and it's probably 20-minute talk and peace out. So where
Yeah.
you at lately?
Okay. Okay. So for me, with my like diet and lifestyle, one of the things that I'm starting to move away from is consuming lots of grains.
Mm,
There was a period whenever I started listening to John McDougall, and I was all about the rice. It's all about lots and lots of starches. But then whenever I found out about Arnold Derritt, started getting more into the fruits, more into the fruit base. But recently, what I've noticed is that every single it's like the longer I do a fruit based lifestyle, the more and more my body wants to move away from the denser, complex carbohydrates and move more into things that are they're still complex carbohydrates, but things like potatoes or pumpkin or squash, and just focus more on like fruits, vegetables, and non-starchy vegetables. Because I'm starting to realize that that even things like brown rice for me, that I just don't react that well to brown rice. I went like a period of maybe like a whole year without eating brown rice. And recently I was at the vegan camp out. Have you ever heard of the vegan camp out?
no, I haven't. It
No.
sounds like a something you spread on toast.
No, it's like thousands of vegans.
Okay.
There's like headline speakers, musicians, food stalls, everything tense. But there I had loads of brown rice sushi. And afterwards, I started to develop more of like a sort of like a croaky sort of voice.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't have thought anything weird or anything like that. But 1 year ago, the exact same thing happened. And like I don't normally eat brown rice unless I'm like going to something like that. And the exact same thing happened. And I'm thinking to myself, I just don't think I react well to grains. I do
Hmm.
grains and beans, grains and legumes. And the longer I'm on this lifestyle, the more I'm starting to realize that I can actually live and survive without eating grains and beans. But
Hmm.
for the longest time, listening to John McDougall, listening to all the plant-based doctors, I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna die if I don't consume these foods. That's how I thought. So and oh, another thing that I'm update like that I've changed is I'm starting to not consume any salt.
Oh, why?
Any salt whatsoever. The main reason is because I'm looking into a lot of people like Peter Rogers
Hmm.
and his talk about the Yanomami tribe and how they don't consume any salt whatsoever, and they've all got amazing blood pressure. Doesn't matter what age they are, young or old. And again, salt is one of those things that I consumed loads of. And I would always say to myself, well, I'm eating raw till four, lots of fruits and vegetables. I'm not consuming any oil, any animal products. So I can be a lot more generous with the salt. But the more I study salt, the more I find out about more information about salt and how it's a vasoconstrictor, raises your blood pressure. For a long time, we wouldn't have had salt shakers or anything like that for a long time. The more I'm starting to realize that we don't actually need as much salt as we think we do. So I've just been experimenting getting rid of it, and all I can say is all my performance metrics are just getting better in terms of the gym, in terms of how I feel, in terms of my running time. So I'm enjoying it. But the food is not as enjoyable.
Well, that's the thing though, is most salt is sodium chloride. But if
Yeah.
you get something which you can't even find anymore, because I do you know who this Barbara O'Neill is?
Oh, is that's that video of that
Yeah,
lady that
yeah,
she's just came out of nowhere and like
yeah. I mean, she's being pushed a little too hard for my liking, and some of the stuff that she said is really stupid. But I've actually used Himalayan and Celtic salt in the past to hydrate myself, but I think it's because
Mhm.
they strip that stuff out when they get with table salt and the sodium chloride, which of course is toxic in almost any level. So I don't know. But I agree with you. Yeah, if you're using that table salt, the stuff is terrible for you and it raises your blood pressure. But there's actually doctors now who are
Mhm.
using, according to her, I didn't look into it, But according to her, there's doctors now using this Celtic salt to actually lower blood pressure. So I don't know, but
Yeah,
you know,
I'm intrigued.
I'm
I've
intrigued
never
by
had
this whole
Celtic
thing.
salt, so I don't know.
I mean, you're
Maybe
where from it comes. You got to be easy to find by you, right?
in Ireland. Yeah, I've never tried it. I've mainly just had like Himalayan
Yeah,
and
I've never
sea
tried it
salt.
either. And
So
and speaking of Arnold Way, my Arnold that got me into the raw thing. He
mhm.
used to have an entire like 3 shelves of Celtic salt. I'm like, why do you get so much salt
Really,
around here? Yeah,
maybe I got to try Celtic
yeah,
salt, but I think
but you can't find it. I don't know who pushed this video out there because the
mhm,
video is like 5, 6, 7 years old.
mm,
But I don't know who put this video out there. It was on Twitter to begin with, just that short little clip. But you cannot find Celtic salt
you can't find it
anywhere, anywhere.
even on
Even
Amazon.
Amazon is out of Celtic
Oh,
salt.
really? Whoa, okay.
So that gets me
Like
thinking, like, is
underground
this
militia or
legit?
something, holding all the Celtics.
Yeah, there's some gypsy somewhere, some Irish gypsy somewhere. Like, I got your salt,
Just
buddy.
like hoarding all the Celtic
Yeah,
salt.
yeah,
That's nuts. I've never
yeah,
really came across that. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what about yourself? What's new in your
What's
diet
new?
that
I
you
kind of
try to
came
live
to the
well?
same conclusion as you
Mhm,
have. Now, I won't touch brown rice because it's got inhibitors in it. And I don't know why anybody would
mhm,
eat it. But I have noticed that when I add rice back in, that
mhm.
my digestion is nowhere near what it would be. But potatoes is just fine. You
Yeah.
know, I know most countries treat pumpkin kind of way differently than we do here in America. Like pumpkin
Mhm.
is a straight up dessert for the most part here.
Okay. Mhm.
So when I hear other countries talk about, pumpkin being used, it's actually even hard to find them until, there's
A
like this short
Halloween
like
or
3 week
something.
window that you can find them. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of came to the same conclusion as you. I've always felt that about lentils. I never really liked them. Beans, baked beans for whatever reason I'm fine with, but like just straight beans, I can't have them. But I have
What?
actually increased the fat intake a little bit. Now everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he's dumping oil on like a laundry style." But
Yeah.
I
What
haven't.
are you having?
I've been adding like people are gonna roast me for this, but like a third of a block of like tofu maybe once in a while. So it's like maybe
Okay.
4 or 5 grams of fat. Um, like very small amounts of avocado. Like I can make an avocado last for like a week,
Like
like
one
one.
avocado.
Yeah, one avocado because I was like, man, this digestion thing, there's something wrong with this. And I started adding just a little bit or like a little hummus or something. I try to get the ones that don't have oil in it. And it like revved the engine. So I definitely
Mm.
like that. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of raw. I've never done a fully raw day since last year. But
Mhm.
I saw you were what day 59 or 56 or something
Yeah,
like that.
59. So
59.
tomorrow will be 60 out of 100.
So
So
what makes you want to do that? Is just the way you feel?
yeah, so for me, I've always resonated heavily with the raw food message. That's why I have tremendous respect for raw fooders because to me, they're just eating foods that they can naturally eat in its natural state, just like, you know, all species on this planet. So whenever I try doing a raw day, and no, whenever I do a raw day and I feel so good, it just makes me think that in the past I used to have this all or nothing mentality with raw foods.
Oh,
It's like
yes.
I'm either 100% raw, like I'm a failure if I eat any cooked. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
disappointed in myself and stuff like that. Binge on rice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now this method where I just try to do 50 raw days per year, once per week, or 100 raw days per year, twice per week. To me, it's just a lot easier on my mind. It's a lot easier to incrementally do it than trying to go all in and just feeling like a failure. And this would sort of be in line with the Arnold Ehret mucusless diet transitional philosophy.
Yeah.
And I find that it really gives me the aha moment every single time that I do it because I'll do one day raw compared to just raw till 4, which is great. And even on the day after the raw day, I'm like, wow, it's another step higher. Like I feel so much better. So this is what
Yeah.
keeps me hooked. Will I go for 150 next year? I don't know, because even the 100 is I'm finding it amazing, but it mentally it's a challenge for
It is.
sure.
It is definitely mentally a challenge for sure. Even Arnold Ehret said that he thought the raw diet was just propaganda
Mm.
in the book.
I think what he was saying is that um it's not that you need to be like, oh, 100% raw. That's like the main aim. If you're not all raw, you're a failure, because there's levels.
Yeah.
There's levels to it. Like you could eat bananas and dates, green smoothies all throughout the day, and you could have a salad with cooked broccoli and mushrooms and peas and peppers and carrots and stuff like that. And even though that's not 100% raw, that's as close as raw as you're gonna get, without things being 100% raw. That's as close as raw as you could get. And you will still feel like almost like 10 out of 10 on that. So I think that's what he was saying. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm a raw. If I'm not all raw, I'm a failure. It's like, no, it's all on the spectrum. And even if you get to the stage where you've eliminated a lot of the dense, complex stuff and you're moving more towards lighter and easier to digest foods, you're still going to be healing at a at a steady pace. So I think that's what he meant by that, but it's open to interpretation, I guess. Yeah.
I think he literally said the words "raw food is propaganda." It's in the book.
Yeah.
I have to listen to
Yeah.
it again, and my Audible is
I
not
have to
working.
look it up. I do.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that anybody really has to look at this as like most of us are eating healthier than we were before. So at least you're,
100%.
95% ahead of the curve.
100%.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, but like I've interviewed McDougall and he would probably be bitch slapping both of us for even talking about this kind of stuff. And then you
I would love to
interview,
just ask him. I would love to just say, like,
I
what did
did. He
humans
wouldn't,
eat
there's certain
before we
questions.
mastered fire?
Yeah, he just won't answer certain questions. He won't like because I had a couple questions. I'm like, damn, I didn't ask these in the interview. So I emailed him and he's like, I won't entertain these questions.
Like, I love McDougal, by the way. If anyone sees it,
Oh
I
yeah, I have
love
no problems
I,
with McDougal
I
either. And
love
it was
McDougal
yeah,
so much.
I have no idea.
I've got a couple
But
of his books.
even he says that if he had to pick one food that he would eat permanently, it would be potatoes. And I
Potatoes.
think you have to pick potatoes.
Yeah, I joke in my head, and I kind of see potatoes like the middle path, like the portal between the raw food world and
It is, yeah,
the Start Solution crew,
yeah,
because they can all agree on it. They
yeah.
can all agree on this one food.
Yeah, it's crazy, and but they feel like failures if they had a potato. And I'm like, oh, that's a little bit. I mean, that's a little bit harsh. It's. I think if you're watching anybody who's on some extreme of some kind, they're
Mhm.
probably selling something to you, and you might want to watch out for that. I think that's. I mean, they might believe it, but they also believe that they're making money from it too. So, I mean, I'm not saying that making money off this stuff is bad, but I think people who are just so hardcore into this or like the juice fasting or whatever,
Mhm.
I think it's just a bit much because people have these like all or nothing mentalities like you do. And this is why I didn't do weightlifting anymore, because it's like all or
Mhm.
nothing. I can't be a generalist with weightlifting. I can't do it.
You're like racking up like super heavy weights first time after like years of not
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Throw 405 on there. I got it. You know. But yeah, it's there. I can't be a generalist with certain things, and so um, it's almost like a competition. But like with for myself, I had to eat like 7,000 to 8,000 calories a day on raw.
7 to 8,000 calories, bro. That is so insane in my head. In my
And I
head,
was losing a pound a day.
that's insane. Like the max me personally, like even two big date smoothies, like 3,500 calories. I'm done. I'm like finished.
Yeah, 8,000.
I
I mean,
couldn't
I
even
was
imagine
in the
adding more on
300s
top of
at
that.
that point. But yeah, seriously, it was
That's
nuts.
crazy.
That's why I started adding back. I'm like, I'm getting tired of eating. I'm tired of
Mm.
eating. That's why I started adding back in because I didn't even know who McDougal was until 2018, 19, something like that.
Was it the TED Talk? Like, did you see him first on the TED Talk, or did he just pop out of nowhere?
I actually think I heard Durian Rider talk about him. Like, I don't know who the hell this
Mhm.
guy is. And then I kind
Yeah.
of just looked into him. I think it was Durian Rider.
Mm.
I think it
Okay.
was the one where he was making fun of McDougal for hating on sugar, even though he quotes Kempner and everything like that. I think it was that video.
Mm.
And
No,
that's where
I think I saw McDougal from like a TED talk. It
did
was
you I know he did one. I know
the
he did
hum
one.
the diet for humans or something like that. I can't remember what he
Yeah.
called it, but he was very unapologetic, and I liked his attitude. And I was like, yeah, I like this guy. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. If he was fruit based, oh man, the whole world would go fruit based.
It would, they would, it would. It would, but I mean, look at this crazy weather we got right now. I mean, farmers are
Yeah,
really having a hard time even getting this stuff out where potatoes are growing just about anything.
yeah.
So
I do think
I think potatoes are going to be the savior of this world if this weather keeps going the way it is anymore. It's getting out of hand. So, but potatoes are like whatever. I'll grow on this.
And what about I'm just curious about your thoughts when it comes to because I've been getting in the back and forth with people online, just people who do the carnivore raw milk, but now they're adding fruit.
Yes,
Now, have you
I
seen
have
this?
seen this. I
Have
have
you
seen
seen
this.
this? Now
Yeah,
now they're starting to add more fruit and honey and
yeah.
stuff, like they're doing like a hybrid of like almost like almost like
The
a
only
semi fruit based, animal based
Yeah, the only
thing
thing
going
I
on.
can think on upon this is A, they finally faced reality, or B, there was some kind of study that was done somewhere in Africa where 40% of these indigenous people's diet came from honey and fruit.
Okay.
So, and then the rest of it was, meat or whatever they could find and milk and stuff like that. It's kind of exactly that diet. And there was a
Mhm.
study, I think it was put out by National Geographic. So had somewhat, decent view or whatever. What do they call it? I mean, decent pull or whatever with National
Mhm.
Geographic. And I think people are starting to emulate that. Or they started to realize that you're not supposed, or you're actually supposed to go to the bathroom daily, not like
Yeah.
every 3 to 7 days. I think that might have something to do with it too.
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, whenever, because I was commenting on someone's video there, and they were like drinking like raw milk,
Yeah,
and I just kept on saying like, we're not baby calves. We're not supposed to be
yeah.
drinking the species of the
No,
milk of
it
another
doesn't make any
species.
sense.
But
No,
I was just getting attacked. I was just getting attacked.
no, you do.
But they didn't
They
have any
do.
good arguments.
They
They
don't
didn't
have.
have any good arguments.
You
So I was
know, somebody knows that they're not
like,
doing the right thing when they just attack you, and it's hive mind too. The whole hive comes out. They gossip to each other, and a whole hive. I remember, I mean, during 2020, I started some kicking the hornet's nest with a couple of different things, and I mean, I still get hate comments from stuff that I said in 3 years ago. So I think it has something to do with that, or they don't want to admit they're wrong. It could be
yeah.
that.
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I just don't understand. And like I just see that like there's so many a lot of these influencers, they have like a huge audience, and people are just sort of just going ahead with it. Yeah, raw liver, raw milk. Yeah. Humans are carnivores. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
our teeth can't even
No.
bite through cowhide.
No.
How? Oh yeah, humans would eat like small animals and insects. It was like, do you want to eat insects?
No.
I thought the whole carnivore community was looking at vegans like we're pushing bugs. Have you come across this as well? It's like this,
You
you
do.
guys just
You
want us
come
to eat
across a lot of
bugs.
this.
It's like, I'm vegan. I don't want you to eat bugs at all. I don't want you
Yeah.
to eat any animal.
Yeah.
I don't want you to eat any animals
Yeah, you said
whatsoever.
I said something on one of the things about meat the other day, and I mean I've been getting hate for like 3 or 4 days now. It's consistent. It always
Mm,
starts off the same thing. You're a effing idiot, but blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
great conversation here.
And
So yeah,
I've always wanted to ask you this question. I've always wanted to ask you a question. What are your thoughts on what's like happening like to the animals and like in the factories and stuff like that? Because I don't know if you've spoken much about it.
I haven't.
Um, yeah.
Um, I didn't get into it for that. I didn't get
Oh,
into
really?
into it
Okay.
for the ethical reasons.
I
I'm
think
not
most people
like a
didn't. I
leather
think most people
buyer. I'm
didn't.
not.
Yeah.
I actually buy wool, um, because it's phenomenal. But I'm not into it. I don't think it's great. Like I haven't really
Mm,
been able to ride bike a lot lately. But when I was riding a lot,
mm,
um, I would ride out in the country because it's peaceful.
mm,
Like you can go out there on a Sunday and you might see, like, in a 3 hour ride, you might see 10 cars, like maybe. That's like on a busy
mm,
day. And but you do pass a lot of tanneries and stuff like that, and you can smell it, you can feel it, you can just,
mm.
it's just, it's terrible. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of it. If you really look at back in the day, if you lived out in the country, you're not going to kill your animal because your animal's probably doing the work for you, a lot of your work for you. And then maybe if they died, maybe you'd
Mm,
eat it then. But or if you were one of these these farms that was killing animals, you'd have a very small amount of animals that you were killing, and you wouldn't want to lose out on that money because it was a lot of money back in the day because it wasn't this mass slaughter 30,000 pigs in a day type situation in one farm or one factory. It
yeah.
was, break out the hog for Christmas or something, a celebration type thing. You might not have meat the entire year before that. So the stuff was very expensive and you're not going to use it for yourself because you need that money.
Hmm.
And now it has turned into, we, think this factory farming. And then, they want to talk about the arsenic in grains, but they're feeding those grains to the animals that you're eating, and it's going to be in
To the
concentrated
animals, yeah.
amounts. It's going to be in concentrated amounts that you're
Yeah.
eating. So, like, how do you, how does this not register to you? And I don't know if this was legit, but I don't know if this was just an act. But I used to watch this show called Ghost Adventures, and the L.A. County
Hmm.
morgue called these guys in because they were having a lot of weird stuff happen there. And one of the short clips, and I couldn't believe they left this in, but the guy said that all the Jane and John does that weren't picked up within a certain amount of days were bought by the farms, local farms, and were fed to the cows.
All the Jane and John Does.
So they were grinding these people up, these dead bodies, and feeding them to the cows.
Oh man, that's nasty.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, you're buying this, you're paying for this kind of stuff. So
that's nasty.
really look into I've never seen a cow go kill somebody and eat them,
Mm,
so that's not their diet either. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the whole thing. If you really look at it, they're not supposedly they're knocking down these trees down in South America and they're building these cheap farms, and then the food that they're getting from is from Africa, and millions of people die there from starvation because the food that
Mhm.
they grow for themselves we take and feed to the animals, and then
Yeah, it's a mess.
it's a
It's a
mess,
huge
and
mess.
then
Yeah.
and then you take it to the modern world, the first world countries, and then you give this cheap beef to them, to, like, to the cheap McDonald's and stuff like that, and then you're eating the McDonald's and you're
Yeah.
dying from that. So everybody involved with this triangle is dying early.
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
so
it's pretty messed up. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not a big fan of it, um
Yeah.
at all.
I feel you. I
Some
think
of
the
this
reason
stuff.
I asked, I think,
What
yeah.
were you gonna say?
No, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think some of it's being used for this global warming thing that they're really pushing on us. Some of it's that, and some of it's reality. So, what's reality and what isn't, I don't know. I don't really buy into everything, but I do know that everybody involved with this whole chain is in bad shape and
It's suffering. Yeah.
is suffering. And if you just took the land that was needed for these animals, you could grow so many potatoes, because nobody, like, what is it, 0.5% of the population of the planet's fruitarian. So I mean, it's kind of a waste of time to grow, orange groves and stuff like that. Grow
Mhm.
stuff people are actually going to eat. But can you imagine
If
how
I was an
many
evil dictator, I would grow mega just fruit trees everywhere.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but I
Even
mean,
if I was like, oh, you're not gonna eat it, well, more for us.
so everybody dies off anyways. But yeah, so, but I mean, if it were me, if it were me and I ran for president, one of the first things I would do, I would make it illegal to have X amount of grass. Like I would want everybody growing something.
Yeah.
I think
As in like microgreens, like potatoes, like whatever you could
potatoes,
grow,
yeah,
just
you
like,
should be feeding yourself. You know, like
yeah.
they did it in Ireland. Like
You
you're
wouldn't
in
have people
Ireland.
like mowing their lawns and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, I
just
mean, what a
having like
waste! What a
shaven lawns
fucking
and stuff like
waste of time it is to go cut your
that.
grass. Who wants to cut grass for an hour? Nobody likes cutting their grass. You know, they might like it for the first like month of the cutting season, and they're like, this sucks, and then they just let it go. Where you could have a garden, grow your own damn
Mm.
food. You know, so
What was your video about in relation to appeal? Because this is appeal is something I've seen like coming up recently. I know Peter Rogers covered it, and
yes. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people have said that appeal is the label says that nobody knows what it is, but I found out what it is. So it's
mhm,
they chemically process grape seeds
mhm,
and they turn it into this basically linoleic acid that's being sprayed on everything, but it creates heavy metals. It creates
mhm,
hexane, which is ethanol, which causes brain issues. It causes
okay.
other substances that clog your arteries, harden your arteries. So basically, it causes inflammation, heart trouble, hormone
Mhm,
issues, hardened arteries, and there was a couple other things. And they're also finding palladium, uh, what was it, cadmium,
Yo, there's a whole
mercury,
host of things in this.
yeah, mercury, lead, and I think there was five things, but they're finding
Mm.
five heavy metals in this. I mean, this stuff is bad,
Yeah,
bad news.
that doesn't sound too good
No,
at all. Yeah, we'll definitely all have to resort to like growing our own like
you're gonna
microgreens
have
and stuff
to.
like that, and like just sharing it amongst the land. You've got one friend growing like this microgreen sprouts and stuff like a broccoli sprouts in the corner. Someone's growing like their own homemade potatoes or something like that.
Yeah. Have you
Uh,
had homegrown potatoes?
not off like someone. Wait a minute. Yes, I have. I
They
have. Like
are
I had to like search a memory bank. I actually have. Yeah, they're good.
they are phenomenal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. My dad and I took 50 pounds of potatoes. We sprouted them. We threw them in the ground. We didn't do a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot to them, and we got 500 pounds out of it.
Wow, that's insane. And it's only like a couple months as well.
It
It's
was
not
only
like
a few months. I mean, you just got
a
to
few
wait.
months, yeah.
Yeah, you can do the layering thing too. So what you can do is you plant the first ones, and then
Mm-hmm.
they kind of sprout, and then you plant more, and you kind of mound them up. You don't need a lot of space. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the yard I have right now is probably four times the amount of space that we needed for 500 pounds of potatoes.
Mm. Yeah,
So
you could start people on the potato diet.
yeah,
I was actually saying this in a video in one of the comment sections to Chef AJ whenever she was covering the Walter Kempner the rice diet.
yeah,
I was actually saying that like this could actually be done better with potatoes, in my opinion.
yeah.
I think it could be done better with potatoes. This is because potatoes are just more nutritious. So like I'm just waiting for the crazy doctor to come through.
Did they respond to you?
She said, I think she said something along the lines that I think it was white rice was used specifically for because of some reason. I can't remember what it
The
was,
protein.
but I think it was something to do with. I think it was something to do with that.
Yeah,
Because I think the Walters Kempner's patients were like literally on the verge of death, so
yeah,
like they needed like a super low protein lifestyle. So yeah, it was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Because that's one thing I do have to say. Now I don't know how accurate chronometer or is that what it's called? Chronometer.
Yeah, chronometer. Yeah.
Okay. I don't use it very often. I don't even think I've used it this year, but last year I used it a few times. And when I did mostly potatoes in a day, my protein was
Mhm.
like way high. It was in like 100
Really? Okay.
150 grams.
Well, like 150 grams?
Yes, but I don't know
Whoa.
how accurate it
Okay.
is. Yeah, but that's probably why he
Yeah.
didn't use potatoes because the protein is so much higher than
It's
it would be on
higher.
rice.
Yeah, I need to check that because like
Yeah.
most of the time I'm getting around like I think anywhere around 40 to 80 grams of protein, maybe more sometimes whenever I'm including more like of the pea sauce, the garden peas blended up with
Yeah.
like herbs and stuff like that.
Are peas really popular over there? It's not really a terribly popular here that I know
I wouldn't say overly. I wouldn't say overly.
of.
I use it a lot because it makes really like that pea sauce is like crack cocaine. It's like really addictive. But I wouldn't say it's like extremely popular or anything like that.
Because I know pea soup is really popular. I don't
Yeah,
honestly know if I ever even had it, but I
yeah,
know
you
it's
should give it a
somewhat
try for
popular.
sure.
Yeah. I hit stop record and
Mm.
a nugget came out. So we're gonna try to replay that. So let's rehash this. So you were talking about
Okay.
grains. So let's go from there.
Yeah. So I came across a YouTuber by the name of Peter Osborne, and he talks about how people who are, say, celiac, or people who are intolerant or sensitive to gluten, whenever they eliminate wheat, barley, rye, and oats, which are the main things you're supposed to eliminate whenever you're on a gluten-free lifestyle, he noticed that people did even better whenever they went grain-free. And in his talks, he would say, well, what is gluten? So gluten is a protein in grains. And he says, even though you may eliminate on a gluten-free diet and you're still consuming lots of grains, even though you may eliminate the grains that have the highest level of gluten in them, may also be the grains that have the highest level of things like glyphosates and other anti-nutrients. If you're still consuming other grain products, you may not find yourself recovering to the same degree as someone who is on a completely grain-free lifestyle. And this is just something that I've noticed in myself along my journey, that for the more I do a fruit-based lifestyle, the more my digestion gets used to the way we used to eat before we mastered fire, fruits and greens, the more sensitive I become to the proteins and grains. And this is why I'm slowly shifting them out of my lifestyle. And you were saying something about uh, freely there.
Well, Freely's talked about this too because it's all seeds, and we're not supposed to be eating seeds. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird though because if you go to Genesis one, what was it 129? It says to eat all
Yeah.
seed bearing fruit, but if you
Mm-hmm.
just eat the fruit or eat the seed, maybe you're not supposed to do that. Maybe you have to eat everything together. But I don't know what that would be entailed with something like rice and lentils and all those type of things.
Yeah, and just for the record, if someone's watching this and you do well with grains and beans and legumes, you do
Oh yeah,
you.
have at it.
You do you. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to understand is, why is it that some people don't do well with grains and beans and legumes? And if you look at legumes, they are seeds of a plant. You can't eat a legume raw. You can't, unless you want to hurt yourself. You'd have to either cook it or soak it to the point where it starts to sprout. And then at that point, at least a lot of the anti-nutrients and stuff are broken down. And even then, if you have a sensitive digestive system, eating lots of lentil sprouts, I
Yeah.
personally wouldn't do it. But yeah, I find all this fascinating, and just exploring ways in which I can optimize my health if I am sensitive to grains, beans, and legumes. And that's one of the reasons why I don't consume a lot of seeds, like things like flax seeds, chia seeds, all these things that people are
Oh yeah.
saying you
Yeah.
got to eat them. They're so healthy, omega 3s. And I completely understand that. But for me to consume loads of chia seeds and flax seeds, I would start breaking out. I would start breaking out in like spots and boils and stuff like that. So for me, I would have to eat the microgreens from the flax seeds, eat the microgreens from the chia seeds, and try to get a lot of my omegas from just consuming adequate amounts of leafy greens. So that's how I found a way around it.
I think everything is about your body's ability to eliminate. I don't think it has anything to do with calories. I don't buy into this calorie thing anymore, especially after doing the interviews myself, watching myself through this process, being able to lose a pound a day on 78,000 calories of raw food.
Mm.
I think it's all your body's ability to actually get what you ate out. It's kind of like the post office. Every piece of mail that comes into the post office goes out the exact same day. We don't hold on to anything. And your body has to be the exact same way. Otherwise it starts becoming toxic. And if you're eating things that have a lot of inhibitors in it and your body can't handle those inhibitors, you're just going to start becoming more and more toxic. You're going to start retaining water. You're going to start retaining fat. You're going to start retaining all the kind of inflammation. If it goes too far, it's going to start turning into cancer, which is just another form of inflammation. And that is, I think, the biggest obstacle. It's like that one cancer doctor that created the grain-free diet. I don't think he did anything miraculous. I think he just allowed his patients to not have stuff that cause a lot of inhibitors and toxins to come in, because the seed does not want to be
inflammation.
Eaten. The seed does not want to be eaten, so it has inhibitors in it. This is why we soak nuts and seeds. This is why they take the hull off the nuts and seeds, because that is an inhibitor. It's a way of detracting things from eating it. Otherwise, it can't grow. And I think that's why white rice probably is significantly better. It's why I don't ever tell people to eat brown rice. I think it's a terrible idea. But I think it's all about your body's ability to, everything that goes in also comes out. And if it doesn't do that, that's when you start running into disease or disease. And I think that's the biggest issue.
No, you make a good point.
Yeah, I don't
you
think
make a very good point. But I would say, like, if I was a listener watching you and I was saying, but why do seeds not want to be eaten?
Why do they not want to be eaten? Because how's it going to get planted then? Its sole job is to be to come into contact with water and germinate and grow, right? If you ate it, you ate the whole seed and you poop it out or whatever, it's in just millions of pieces. It can't grow anymore. So, there's that. And then some seeds actually need to be eaten. Like I think that more thunder, you hear that? I think that watermelon like seeds. So. What's that?
No, I couldn't hear it. I was just saying I couldn't hear it.
The watermelon seeds,
like thunder or something.
Yeah, it's thunder. Getting these monsoons today. Like I actually eat watermelon seeds because I think they're supposed to be eaten, but a lot of these seeds don't want to be, and there's a lot of inhibitors in it. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But I also think
100%.
I also think that if you look at the makeup of people, like we all live in different areas now, but like I am from Ireland and Slovakia. That's where my families are from. And if you look at what they ate there, I probably can process that, but I can't eat something as well from like Africa or something, like, you know what I mean? So that might have some role in it as well. I don't know. But I do know.
Yeah. I do. I agree. No, I agree with you for sure. No, sorry. What were you gonna say? Just finish.
No, go for it. Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say. I think that I think if I look back on like my heritage, I think we would have consumed a lot more root vegetables, a lot more things like yams, pointed yams, a lot more things like plantain, fruits of the land, whatever fruit was in the season. So I think my lineage is more geared towards like roots and potatoes. And I think there's evidence that showed that humans consumed root vegetables way before they started consuming grains. Yeah. Because if you think about it, root vegetables are probably easier to cook on the fire than a grain. If you think about the early beginning of like humans like trying to figure out how to like master fire and stuff like that, I think it would be easier to cook like a potato on a fire than it is like a grain and trying to eat a grain. Like you need pots, you need pans, you need you need like a steaming device. You need to be like for sure.
100%. Yeah. And it's weird. The one that isn't like that is rice. There's a place down in the Carolinas that you can actually buy live rice, but they grow it, they shell it, but the rice looks like cooked rice. You can eat it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just like that. It's
just like that. And I don't know if all rice is like that or if it's just certain varieties, but I don't know. Rice really has to have some decent value to it, because think of the population that eats rice, and they run circles around everybody, right? They're smarter. They populate more. They really. If you look at China, Japan, Korea, the word for meal is usually rice.
It's rice, yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
something
I'm
to
not
that.
against. I'm not against people eating rice. I do think rice is amazing, and I do think it's fueled large civilizations.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a small. Like, I think there's like a hidden population of people who it just doesn't agree with,
Oh yeah.
and they don't agree with beans and stuff like that, and they're like seeing all these things like, you gotta eat like rice is life and stuff like that, and they're like, well, I'm struggling, I'm struggling,
You
like,
really got to look at that then.
yeah, for sure. I just want to reach out to those people and be like, it's okay. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
For millions of years, we couldn't even eat rice.
Yeah.
We can even
Yeah.
consume it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm did the diet, the course, that I did, and one of the things that I talk about, like, if you can't eat it, you can't eat it. I mean, there's no reason to force this stuff on yourself just because you read Starch Solution or Maximum Weight Loss, just because he tells you to eat rice or whatever, or Kempner, doesn't mean that you can do it.
Yeah. I my program is going to be more focused around fruits, roots, and veggies. For people who want to lose weight, and for people who, maybe grains and beans don't agree with them. I
Yeah.
want to say, look, I'm your friend. Come through.
Yeah, that's weird. I
Come
think
through.
our programs are going to be very similar, but
That's okay. That's
yeah,
fine.
I'm,
That's fine.
yeah,
It's all the one package anyway. Everyone's really talking about the same
the
things.
same
Maybe
exact
some
thing.
people are saying, have a bit of nuts and seeds. Some people are saying, maybe avoid this, maybe avoid that. But as a whole, it's high carbohydrate, low fat, plant-based lifestyle, just
Yeah.
tailored towards different sort of niches. And you cover all the different sort of um thoughts in it, the nutritarians,
Yeah.
the what is it, the chia seed green smoothie crew, the
Yeah.
hypernourishment,
Oh, yeah. The
the
hyper-nourished people.
diagrams, the
Yeah.
the sugar in your water
Yeah.
people versus no sugar in your water.
Yeah. Yeah. I try not to be too one thing, too one
Yeah,
thing. Anyway, I
uh,
think I think
yeah,
that's really all we had, all with that. So I'm gonna end it here,
true.
and we'll try this again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna end it here. We might do another one of these. So anybody go check Fruit Kid out. I'll have his link down below. And that's it. Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
peace.